One question I have is when you have the matrix and you have the variables, you have weight, you have torque, you have flex, you have bend profiles and everything else like that. So you can somewhat group them based off of a number of different things. We won't start at the first step, but once you start to get into, as you were discussing, the torque, and once you get lower in torque, and I think I was looking at UST's page the other day. They've got a couple irons in the 1.8 or 1.9 torque range. I'm like, my God, that's got to feel like swinging a piece of rebar. But how do you start to go through the process in your own mind of um, this person, or how do you determine, are you going to bump the weight maybe on the shaft? Are you going to lower the torque? Are you going to go slightly stiffer, slightly softer? How do you formulate that in your own mind? That might be too broad of a question given everybody. You could have two twins and they could be different, completely different, how you're going to fit them.
It's a brilliant question, and it is the question that should be asked more. Part of the time I have right now on my hands is exploring things that I feel need to be explored for us to do a better job within this club fitting space. And the process of the fitting is top of that. So how do we know what a player really needs? I mean, we live within this safe space of boundaries on club length, swing weight, grip size, total weight. All of these things, we live in such small sort of boundaries and constraints. I'm sure you know the guys over at Forward Golf, Chad,
Hmm.
and the guys over in
Yeah, I've been
there.
following. They have some very interesting things they put out there.
Brilliant.
Yep.
And they're absolutely on the right path. And Chad and I chat a little bit online, and I'll drop in from time to time just to say exploring the things you're exploring because it's the right thing. And he's happy enough for a golfer to walk in and have a range of swing weight from D2 to E2,
Hmm.
and he'll test it. That never happens on the club fitting day. People will get maybe the chance to try something D0 to D3, but they don't get the chance to kind of explore the full range of possibilities that might unlock something truly transformational for them. So that has to change. And there are difficulties in that. That matrix that I talk about, we had at TXG was probably 450 shafts. It was every head basically from every manufacturer. We had all the weight kits. This and that. It was extensive, and it was extensive, and it was expensive to try and do so. Expand that, and it just becomes more expensive to try and do that. So it's not easy, but there's ways in which you can do it to offer out the opportunity for people to try things. And the testing protocols, you've got to be aware of how much influence someone has. If I hand them a graphite shaft and they've never played a graphite shaft, that subconscious bias, little flicker in their mind starts to ping. And then you go, finger shaft. He doesn't think I'm very fast. And then you all of a sudden, the swing they swing and starts changing and stuff like that. There's all sorts of parts of the process. I see a day, Pete, where we actually, before we test clubs, and we kind of used to do this at TaylorMade at the old mat lab, when with the kind of mat system and you wear the suit, and we were talking about Michael
Hmm.
Neff earlier, and Michael was the guy from the mat system. He was the one who trained us all on it. There's a part of the process that I think that needs to happen where it's like, well, how do you know what swing weight works best unless you go through the full gambit? How do you know what length progression you need unless you test the length progressions that are available? Do you need swing weight matching? Do you need MOI matching? Do you need more offset, less offset? How can you be influenced by all of the variables? Grip size. We're starting to learn that the smaller your hands, the bigger the grip. That actually makes more sense, that you have more control of the club head if you have a bigger grip when you have smaller hands.
Hmm.
Who would have thought that a few years ago when all we used to look at, okay, show me your left hand, your longest finger in your left hand,
Right.
does it touch your palm? Well, that's a ridiculous way
That
to
never
do
made any
anything.
sense to me. I'm like, because every grip I grabbed, I could almost. I'm a little 6'5", so my heck, just about. I'm not putting a 20 wraps of tape on a jumbo grip to get it to where I can't get my hands around it. It never made any sense.
No, no, exactly. And there's all of these, when you start to dig into it, I mean, we were just talking about shaft variability earlier. You start going into every golf club and we start talking about the variables. I mean, it's in thousands really. So how do you get through that process where you can take someone in an unbiased environment, in an environment that is truly a appropriate stress test for the golf course as well. There's no point testing in an environment that is not reflective of the golf course, where you can't create the same stimulus for the golfer. You have to be able to challenge them and the way their mind works relative to the task. You know, you would never take an Olympian and have them train in a way that they're never going to experience the night of the 100-meter final in, LA when it comes to it. You're going to try and recreate as close to that stimulus as you possibly can. So we have to do a better job in the fitting process of changing the status quo in a way of it not being the way that it's always been done. Just because it's always been done one way doesn't make it right.